just want to video the beginning of how it has. So I'll get all set up and set down, and then I'm gonna pause. So Bill has put the ladder back on his truck. He is going to go on the front roof and talk about the front exterior, and then we'll do the summary after that. All right, here we go.
Okay, we're all set?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I just came down off the roof, and the roof is it's a flat roof with a rubber membrane on top of it. The membrane looks to be like it's towards the end of its life, and then there's a process called silver coating where people will paint the rubber membrane silver, and that kind of gives it another year and a half of life. A lot of that is peeling off, and you can see the membrane has like a kind of a crack. It's called alligating, where it's kind of cracking all around and drying out. So there's two options. One is to just have someone put a new membrane down. The other is to silver coat it, which is usually a couple $100, and then have that last like another year and a half or so max. But eventually it's going to need to be replaced. On the front side of the roof, as you can see right there, where it's lifted up a little bit, there's shingles.
Oh,
and
yes.
The shingles are a 20-year pre-tab asphalt shingle. They're functioning. I don't think they need to be replaced right now. I'm estimating that they have about another 8 years left in their life, but they're functioning and they're adhered to the roof. Okay. So we're standing out front, and the biggest issue out front, and this is really common in cityscapes where you have retaining walls kind of lifting the yards up a little bit so they're more flat, not just sloped to the sidewalk, is that the ground tends to, you can kind of see it maybe a little bit more right here. So the ground tends to be sloped, and then it settles behind this wall, and then water gets behind the wall and eventually starts to push the wall out and cause some cracking, and that's what's happening here. And it's really happening here as well, where the whole thing is just kind of shifting out.
That you can tell they've done some repair at some point.
Yeah, someone tried to repair it and
without weep holes.
Right, and so I would have either a landscaping contractor, because they do this type of work, or a mason who does retaining walls, take a look at this and see what they can do to repair it, because this is actually a shared wall between this home and I guess 324, the home to the left. And the whole wall is leaning out, and as you can look up the street, you can see some of them have been rebuilt and they're nice and plumb, and then there's others that haven't, and they're kind of leaning like this one is. So I'm not sure, in my opinion, that this can actually be repaired. It may need to be taken apart and rebuilt correctly with weep holes down at the bottom, which allows the water to drain out.
That would be like little pipes.
Yeah,
like
usually it's a 2-inch PVC pipe that's drilled through the wall or set in the wall. So this is not, in my opinion, an emergency. It's not like, oh my God, we got to fix this or the house is going to fall down. And actually, this doesn't even affect the house. It's more of a landscaping wall, but it is on the city sidewalk, and eventually it's going to start to fall over. So I'm just pointing that out as an issue, and again, it's something I'll put in the report.
Yeah, and Bill, how long do you think it takes, this has probably been leaning for a little while, how long do you think it would be before it really started to lean even more?
I'd probably say another 5 to 7 years.
Okay.
But it's moving every time it rains, every time snow gets behind it.
Incrementally it moves
just
and moves.
a little bit over time. I mean, this has taken probably 20, 30 years for this to happen.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
So the concrete steps that something like iron rails, which really could use a coat of paint, because you don't want them to rust. And I'm just trying to take a quick picture of this. Concrete's actually functioning. It has settled a little bit. Concrete's not original to the house, but the only thing I'd recommend with this is, what you end up with is gaps where weeds are growing, is you spray the weeds with an herbicide, get rid of them, or try and pull them up like I was just trying to do. Then I would seal the cracks to keep water from getting in there, and then you can just seal the concrete with a concrete sealer. It's fairly inexpensive and easy to do, but it'll help preserve the concrete for a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Front porch is functioning. Someone's painted these steps at one point, and the paint is just kind of flaking and peeling off, so it's going to need to be probably cleaned and repainted at some point. Underneath the porch, it looks like the framing might be original, and it's functioning. It feels pretty solid when you walk on it. I didn't see any rot. The one thing they didn't do is we throw joist hangers on the joist, and without going into a long explanation, I'll put that in the report. Again, it's one of those things. It's not an emergency. It's just something I would recommend doing, so you don't have an issue down the road.
These are the joist hangers for the porch
for the
stringers.
porch joist, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for the porch joist.
And joist hangers are like those L-shaped brackets, or
Well, they're
the
U-shaped. So
U-shaped.
you have a joist that goes like this into a let's see, into like this.
a metal
And
U-shaped
then
thing.
and then it's a hanger that allows keeps the joist in place and keeps it from dropping. Because what's happened here is they're nailed in place and they're functioning, but what can happen is those nails will start to rust and they can come loose with the humidity and expansion and contraction. The hangers stay in place, and it's just something added. And when the house was built, they didn't even have hangers. This is something that's come along in the last 35 years, so
Okay.
it's just something I would recommend adding.
Okay.
And it's not like the porch is going to fall apart if you don't do it.
Okay.
The rest of it, the brick was in pretty good condition. The porch is functioning. A lot of the trim I can tell is the original to the house,
Mhm.
and it's
There's a little bit of water
yeah
damage. I pointed out to them before.
right. And there's the way it's draining. It's got like a self-contained. Actually, it's draining over onto their roof. It's got like a self-contained type of gutter, which is leaking a little bit over there.
Okay.
And that's something I would probably have repaired. Again, it's not causing an issue at the house, but it is could be an issue.
Yeah.
With the porch roof.
Right there. Okay.
Let's go back up. Let's go up here. So the electric meter's on the right-hand side of the porch. The gas meter is on the left.
Oop.
So, I'm sorry. So this is the downspout for the porch, and then they've extended it on the ground, which is good. But it's extended to this pier, which all the water is now just going to go into the porch. And what I would do is just extend that past the porch, so water's draining away from the house.
Towards the street.
Everything will look pretty good. This is a weed, which almost
Oh, yeah.
it's growing. I just get rid of it, and
Yeah,
just
it's a
keep it
weed
very
tree
clear.
actually.
Yeah.
So yes.
But other than that, everything else looks like it's working pretty good outside.
Mhm. Great.
Okay, so I'm gonna head inside.
Okay, great. I'll send this one. All right, Tisa Marjan, that's the exterior, front, and roof.